Hi there, this is Janet Gershen-Siegel, and this is Module 4, I believe, of ICM 601, which is the Capstone Project for Quinnipiac University. Today I'd like to talk about Lonely Writer again, and what you have up here is how I've changed my blog. So I got myself a new WordPress theme. This one is called Business Elite, and the two slideshow is the free version. If I wanted more slides, I could actually pay for this. But the thing is, other than offering more slides, it doesn't seem to offer anything else that I really am too happy about. So I didn't really want to use that, but there's more to this. So if we move down a little, oops, there it goes. There's a few spots here in the middle where I can highlight certain blog posts, and these images here, these are the featured images. I actually had to resize a bit and do a little work on that, and I can shift from one to another. And then if we scroll down a little more, we get to where it will show up this is by category. So if you click on that, you get others. And you can see some of these. I've put new cheat sheets on them, or and actually maybe I should switch this so these aren't all the same. But you can see how these they kind of come up like this. And if you want to look at more, you just click here, and then you get a little bit here, and you can hit read more. And again, I've got images and whatnot. So let's just go back to the beginning again. We go back here, get to the blog, and it will deliver these posts. And if I want to, I can change it up so that I only show certain categories if I like, things like that. And it goes down here. Featured posts, again, this is just done by categories. It really doesn't matter what you do with them. And a little bit of contact information. I didn't have much that I wanted to put up here because for one thing, you can't change this image. That's kind of interesting. But also that I didn't want to put up an email address. So instead I've got it linking up to contact me, which is actually this same one here. And if we go here, I get a map. And a little bit more. This one is from the new theme, and this other is something that I had added, and then of course there's a little bit more over here. Now that's the blog, and while it's doing a bit better in terms of views, it's not fantastic, but it has improved a little bit. And what happened here is I ran a thunderclap, and the thunderclap is where you can get a number of people to post about your whatever you're trying to promote. And in this case, I just had them link back to the site, and I had it run on the 2nd of July. And if you don't get to your minimum, then the thunderclap won't go at all. And this was a thunderclap for 100, which is their minimum. And I got 101 people to support it, which was helpful. So I had 2 days where I had 55 and then 53 views, but then as you can see, everything kind of drops off, and it goes back to what it was. So it got me a little bit of attention, but that attention wasn't sustained. So hopefully with a bit of a newer look, it'll look a bit, I'll get a little bit more attention. Now, the other stuff I wanted to show is, first off, I've got Twitter. Twitter does pretty well, and again, it actually did best on the 2nd of July. And I go here to YouTube. YouTube is it's similar to what I had shown before, where the Ronnie Verdi interview is the thing that really shows up the best. But I do get some reviewing here on the 4th, probably because it was a day off for most of the people who are interested in what I'm doing. And again, the interviews all show up nice and high. There's definitely an interest in interviews, and also the people who've been interviewed by me, they do post. So I get a bit of synergy from them saying, "Hey, I was interviewed, and let's talk about that." One of the things I'm trying to do, the professor had suggested this, is to get the best possible quality of interviewees that I can. So one of the people who I interviewed, actually his interview is coming out today, is Michael Stewart, who is a copyright attorney. And while people might not be that interested in copyright, if you're an independent author or if you're a cover artist, it is of interest. You might think it's kind of dry, but this is information that people really do need. So I wanted to put that up there as being helpful. And this evening, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be interviewing Dayton Ward. And if you don't know his name, Dayton is a big jump up in terms of people to interview, because he is a New York Times bestselling author, and he is someone who's sort of joked that that's going to end up on his tombstone, because now that's everywhere. And what had happened is last year, he is a Star Trek tie-in author. There were several of them, and they had done a series. And his was called, and his contribution is a book called Peaceable Kingdoms, and it did make the New York Times bestseller list. So now, no matter where Dayton goes, he is always referred to as New York Times bestselling author, Dayton Ward. And he's got 48 books on Amazon alone. So he's kind of popular, and I think people will be interested in hearing about him, even if they don't know his particular name. Certainly the cachet of being a New York Times bestselling author has at least got to count for some interest, I would presume. Otherwise, numbers I think are looking nice. Again, I've got lots of time for Facebook if I need it. This is a blog, I believe, and that's pretty good. YouTube and Twitter are about where I want them to be. Nothing really is big. The only thing that's even, and I'm calling this major, but it really isn't that major, is interviewing delays, because sometimes people are a little slow. And like one of the things that Dayton is dealing with actually is he's got 2 young daughters at home. And so over the summer, he's busy taking them to swim class and whatnot. I mean, this is, people live their lives. The other thing with interviewing is I had one issue with a woman who runs a review site, and so what we did instead is I had her write me a guest blog post, and that'll come out a bit later. And so she was more comfortable because she wanted to put something in writing. It got me something that was different for my blog, and presumably it'll give her a little bit of synergy, because of course I'm linking back to her in a big way. So hopefully this will help both of us. Moving along, pretty much everything is done. Gathering images is really kind of minor, because that goes along with interviews, actually, because if people have images that I want to add to an interview, particularly if the synchronization doesn't go very well or the sound isn't that good, what I'll often do is I'll scrap the look of the interview, but I'll keep the sound, and then I've got to put something over it in order to get it onto YouTube. And what I'll do is a slideshow. So what I want from folks is their covers or a headshot, things like that. And from my own personal experience, what I found is that a 10-minute or so interview does best with approximately a dozen or more slides, somewhere between like 12 and 20. You do any fewer than that, and you spend way too much time on each slide. You do more than that, and it starts to get, it's moving a little bit too quickly. But it's not horrible if it's that many. Again, on just the raw numbers side, they're looking rather good. The Facebook numbers keep going up. It looks looking good. Blog readers have stayed the same. That's the blue that's way at the bottom, but that's also related to the fact that I'm not getting a lot of traffic onto the blog itself, onto the site. Twitter followers has gone up. The people I'm following on Twitter, that's also gone up. I don't discriminately follow back everybody who follows me. I'm just trying to follow folks who are somewhere within the writing realm. And the YouTube subscribers has gone up slightly. I think that there's an interest in viewing YouTube, but there's less of an interest in following the channel, but that's perfectly fine. Anyway, I'm about out of time. Once again, this is Janet Gershen-Siegel. This is my report on Lonely Writer, and I look forward to seeing what is going on with you. So thanks so much.